call me Mystic Mac because I predict these things.
MarQuel Mederos takes on Bolaji Oki this Saturday at UFC Vegas 107. And this is a good matchup. These guys are going to be looking to throw down on the feet. I think this is going to be a firefight between these two guys. I think Mederos, he might be the one to shoot takedowns at times just to mix it up a little bit. But I think Bolaji Oki is going to be looking to keep it on the feet and do damage. So I expect this one to be a very exciting fight. So MarQuel Mederos is 28 years old. He's 5'10" with a 69.5-inch reach and 10-1 in his career. So very impressive record for a guy who's 28, barely entering his prime. Fights out of Factory X, been there since he was 19 years old, so almost a decade at a very good gym. Has a lot of really good training partners: Jonathan Martinez, Chris Gutierrez, Yusuf Zalal I saw in the crowd for one of his last fights. But really good striking, really smooth hands. Likes to keep it pretty at times, but we'll get scrappy if guys want to get scrappy. And patient. He's patient on the feet. At times doesn't really force anything, but that can cause him to get a little bit behind in his fights. But just has measured pressure in the pocket. Subtle stance switches, cuts guys off along the cage. Doesn't really follow them. Comes in. I like the way he'll come in and strike. He'll kind of pull back to get his opponent to react or to counter, and then he's countering the counters, or kind of waiting for them to counter what their reaction is, and then he'll come in after and counter. But really good leg kicks. I think he has a win on the amateur scene for a belt by leg kick TKO. So very good striker, good combos, goes to the body well, obviously goes to the legs, goes to the head. So firing at all levels. At times I feel like he kind of just touches his opponent versus really throwing with a lot of power. I'd like to see him sit down on his punches a little bit more. I saw him do that on the regional scene, but as of late in the UFC, it just seems to be a little bit more tentative, which isn't bad at times, if you're just looking to touch guys and be accurate and get volume out there versus, whiffing a lot, tiring yourself out. But at times, I've seen him, I know he's got power, and I just wish he'd kind of bite down on the mouthpiece, maybe throw with a little bit more bad intentions, and kind of raises his chin mid-combo. I've seen in his fights, which I think he might pay for that in this fight against Bolaji Oki, who I think is just as good of a striker, but he I think he's faster and maybe has the power advantage. He's a jiu-jitsu purple belt, 85% takedown defense. Haven't really seen much jiu-jitsu from the guy. A lot of his wins are by decision or KOs. Have seen him do some scrambling, some work against the fence, but I think that's still kind of to be determined in terms of his grappling. But I don't really think we're going to see much offensive grappling from Bolaji Oki in this one. I think Mederos will be the one looking to clinch or to shoot if we do see it going to the ground. Defended takedowns very well against Isakov, the Dagestani. He looked really good in that fight. Was getting off on the feet, throwing a lot of volume, a lot of power, timed a knee perfectly to put him out. So very impressive performance on Dana White's Contender Series. But since then, in the UFC, Landon Quinones went to a decision. I think he lost that one. Austin Hubbard went to a split decision. I think you could argue he won the first and the third, but maybe lost the first and the second. But either way, I think Landon Quinones is underrated, as well as Austin Hubbard. So has some good experience heading into this fight against Bolaji Oki, and he just fought Hubbard March 29th, so getting right back in there. Bolaji Oki, 29, 73-inch reach, 5'10" with a 9-2 record, so he's going to be the same height, but he's going to have a 3.5-inch advantage, which is significant considering I think this fight's going to take place primarily on the feet. 9-2 in his career, just came off of a loss against Chris Duncan, where he was, kind of putting it on Chris Duncan, having a lot of success on the feet, landing punches, went in for a takedown, head on the outside, got choked out. So not a jiu-jitsu guy by any means, looking to keep it on the feet, beat guys up, but pressures very well with a lot of power. We've seen kind of two versions of this guy in his fight with Chris Duncan and Dylan Salvador on the Contender Series. He's pushing forward, high pressure, high volume, but against Timmy Kwamba, he was a little bit more tentative and didn't see as much success. Won that by split decision. But mixes up his strikes to the head and body very well. Had a body shot KO on Dana White's Contender Series to Dylan Salvador. Hurt him several times to the body. Really good jab, fast, snappy jab. Throws with bad intentions and just looking to, put your lights out. Looking to finish fights, high pressure. And from what I've seen, has, decent cardio. Haven't really seen him sucking wind or looking to slow down in fights, honestly. But I know Mederos I think he's fought the better competition. Austin Hubbard, Landon Quinones, Isa Isakov. Like, those are good guys. Bolaji Oki, you know, Chris Duncan. I think Timmy Kwamba's underrated, but I would give a small competition edge to Mederos, and he's been tested in the UFC against good guys. But he really hasn't had any standout performances that convince me that he's, you know, this hot prospect coming up. So I'm going to go with Oki. I think Oki, he just throws with a little bit more power. Has more presence in the cage, pushing forward, putting a lot of volume out there to be judged. A lot more volume out there, and a lot of it lands versus Mederos, who can be kind of tentative at times. He can be pushed back and pressured. And I think Oki's going to be the one to really put the pressure on him in this one. Have him on the back foot and be landing the better shots. I trust Oki's chin. I've yet to see him get rocked in his career. And I've seen Mederos get rocked. I saw him get rocked in the first round against Landon Quinones. And I just wasn't very impressed with his last performance. I picked against him against Austin Hubbard just because I thought Austin Hubbard was a dog, and he would have won that fight if he wouldn't have made just a technical error on the ground in that third round to lose it. But I got to go with Oki. I think he's. I think this is going to be a, you know, primarily a stand-up bout. And Bolaji Oki has an 85% takedown defense. I think he'll be able to keep it on the feet. I think he'll be able to keep Mederos at range with a 3.5-inch reach advantage. And I just think he hits harder. I think he's going to be doing more damage and looking to finish the fight. Whereas sometimes I feel like Mederos is just kind of looking to point strike, at least as of late in the UFC, not necessarily on his regional scene. So it's kind of, I just like. Both of these guys, there's like two versions of them. There's the Mederos who pushes forward, who's, you know, a fierce competitor throwing a lot of volume, and then there's the one that we've seen in the UFC, and then there's the Bolaji Oki, you know, pushing forward, fierce competitor, but then we see the tentative version of him against Timmy Kwamba. So it's like, which version is going to show up? And I just think Oki, he's going to put more out there to be judged. I don't think he's going to be getting hurt. I think the person to be getting hurt is going to be Mederos. I feel like Mederos is going to be the one to be backing up a lot. I don't see Oki fighting on the back foot. He's just, there's a lot of consequences coming your way when he's throwing, so it's really hard to kind of pressure him back, and I think he'll be able to defend the takedowns as well. So I think he could chin Mederos, but I think more than likely he'll outpoint him on the feet, win rounds, and get this one done by decision. Thanks.